It's your boy Static back with a second episode of the Static Interference. I just want to talk about something real fast, right? And want to talk about something that I think is not on a lot of people's minds when it comes to anything that they do in life, whether it's creating content, being a competitor, or just simply just living your everyday life, going to college, going to work. And it's tenacity. Ironically, it actually took me a while to actually sit down and think about this next episode because when I was starting to talk about this next episode, the person that came to my mind was actually Chadwick Boseman. God rest his soul. I decided to marinate on that because I wanted to talk more about Boseman in general, but instead, I don't see a need for me to talk about him per se. But as many people know by now, as it's been blown up all over the news, he had passed away due to a 4-year private battle with colon cancer. And it just makes me think of the fact that he was continuing to film while still being treated for colon cancer. On the flip side of that, you also have Kobe Bryant. Once Kobe Bryant retired, he found a way to keep himself busy through many other outlets and even wins a Oscar for the short story or narrative for Dear Basketball. Guys like them just never stop doing what they do. And yes, I understand that both of those men were special, and not every one of us can necessarily be special. But the reason why I decided I wanted to speak on something of tenacity is because of the way that those men approached their lives and their respective careers as they just kept pedaling through everything. By no means should I ever say that if you can't do something because you are physically or mentally incapable of doing so, you should continue to ignore that and do so. I think that is the most asinine thing I think anyone can actually tell you. But even I can admit that I stopped myself from doing a lot of things that I wanted to do strictly out of fear. And in many cases, it's just over me being in my own head. And I think that's something that I think a lot of people go through on a regular basis. It's just simply being in their own head, which is pretty sad to be honest with you, because you never know when it comes to something you want. There's a reason why you want to do a certain thing so badly, even if it goes against the grain of society. Even now, as you see me attempt to make myself a name and trying to do a podcast, even though this really isn't a podcast per se, but I try to do stuff like this and try and act like I'm trying to get into radio. This is coming from a guy that grew up as a shy kid, never wanted to speak to anyone, never really liked public speaking, but decided he wanted to get himself involved into like radio in some form or fashion, as I'm that guy that wanted to be a journalist coming out of high school. Though certain aspects of the way that I have been thinking have changed, the desire to kind of do my own thing has never really not done it. So I decided to take a chance and just kind of swing for it. Because I kind of wanted to be like Stuart Scott and be cooler than the other side of the pillow. Admittedly, I'll never be as cool as he was, but I can still be static cool. But in order for me to be cool, it was more important for me to be real. And that's something that I'll never stop doing. But I also recognize that in order for me to be truly successful, that I truly do have to be tenacious. I have to be able to not let my own self get in the way of the things that I want within this industry and just continue to come out on top. And the only way for me to do that is to not stop. I want to be like the juggernaut. I want to be the unstoppable force, and I want to let my momentum speak for itself and carry me to wherever this thing is destined for me to go. And I won't stop till I get to where I believe I'm supposed to be. Admittedly, this has turned into more of a personal blog session than I wanted it to be, but I wasn't sure where I was going to go with it, because in reality, the only way I know how to approach things is from my own perspective. And I would imagine that the perspective that I bring is something y'all appreciate, because there's too many people around faking what they do on the internet, which is fine for entertainment. But my style of entertainment has always been trying to just connect with y'all, because I don't see half of my listeners, especially the ones that I have right now, as just fans. These are all my friends and family at this point. Way too many people believe in me for me to just stop what I'm doing just because I'm not sure of what it is of what I'm doing. So I hope that when you guys think about trying to do some of the things that y'all want to do, y'all just find a way to continue to persevere and push through, because I don't want to see anybody stop their own dreams just because they're not sure of what it is that they're doing. However, if you're trying to do something like be a rocket scientist and don't have the credentials of doing something of that nature, I would suggest looking for another route. But that doesn't mean that taking an alternative route to do what you want to do is necessarily a bad thing. It actually very well could be a good thing. I mean, I know people that have applied for jobs that they supposedly weren't even qualified for and wound up getting them, and it ended up being the best thing that happened to them in recent history. So you might as well continue to swing for the fences and see how it goes. Very often, players in baseball who tend to hit a lot of home runs tend to get a lot of strikeouts as well. I don't want people to feel like their only form of grinding is to do the same wake up, rinse, and repeat cycle of not moving anywhere just because you're just trying to fight for survival. I just really would like to see more people actually try to achieve something that is meaningful to them. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something that is necessarily big on a financial scale or just anything of that nature. But it could be something as simple as you deciding you wanted to paint one of the best portraits you can ever paint. Like, you don't necessarily have to be Picasso or anyone, but just painting anything could very well be something that could be desirable to you. One of my closest friends that I met as a result of her content creation has actually been a woman that I know that has literally worked 7 days a week for 10 plus more hours just in her field of content creation, just to be able to get ahead and do the things that she has wanted to do in her life and make plans for the future for the long term. And she is relentless in the way that she approaches making and selling some of her content. It got to the point where I've actually said on multiple occasions that you work too damn much and I think you need to rest. But hell, I'm the stubborn one. I think I could use more of her work ethic. I could use more of her tenacity. This woman is actually one of my biggest influences when it comes to my content creation. And I'm so inspired by her that I will never stop doing what I'm doing, because I want to be successful in the only way I think I feel I know how to be successful, because I feel I'm good enough to do what I'm doing. And even though this particular episode almost turned into a personal blog for me, well, actually, it kind of did. I still don't think I want to stop doing it the way that I want to do it, because I want to do it the only way I know how. And I'm putting something out there for you to try and be open and transparent with y'all as much as possible. Does that necessarily make me special? Not really. Does it make me unique? Not really. But does it make me relatable? That I think I can definitely hold up to. And I think it's better for me and more important for me to be more relatable, to be more vulnerable, to be more open, and to maintain my integrity as I continue to push this stuff out here, than it would be for me to try and just push something for the sake of entertainment, and I never want to ever be able to do that. So this started off being a little bit more about tenacity and ended up being a little bit more of a personal blog where I kind of weave a little bit of everything together. But I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I hope y'all will be coming back for future installments, because I love doing what I'm doing right now and I never want to stop doing it. I want to continue to do this as long as I still have breath on this earth. And I want to continue to make y'all happy to listen to me for as long as I'm still here. So, thank y'all for listening, and I hope to catch you guys on the next one. In the words of the late Nipsey Hussle, the marathon continues. There's a reason why he kept saying that. Static out.